The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Welcome, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
I am Samantha Jones.
And welcome to another episode. We appreciate you tuning in with us, any new-time listeners, and, of course, any return guests. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
So here we are, episode 8.
Episode 8.
And what is the topic of this episode?
This is synchronicity.
Synchronicities. I like this one a lot.
Yes.
I do.
This is a cool subject.
But before we jump into it, let's follow our format, shall we?
Normal pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creatures of habit.
That we are.
And let's review last week. You got anything good?
I do. We have a new iTunes review, and this one says, pretty fun listen. You can sometimes really forget to think about the bigger picture. Great job with the show. Many more people will surely connect to the hosts.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's
I
sweet.
thought that was cool. So thank you very much for that. Again, we love the iTunes review, the Facebook reviews. Wherever you can leave reviews for podcasts, we love it.
Right.
It helps people find us. And without you guys, these people won't be able to find us, our audience.
No, it's
They need
always
you.
welcome, much appreciated,
Yes,
and much love. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank
Thanks
you.
for taking the time to just give us the feedback.
absolutely.
It's wonderful that it's positive, but you know what? People are busy, and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But it means a lot when
It
someone
really
takes
does.
2 seconds to say, wow, the fact that you're even sitting and listening to the whole thing, geez.
Yeah.
But to even comment afterwards, thumbs up. Thank you.
Yeah, I got a really cool message earlier this week. I forwarded it to you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that one.
Yeah, from a pet sitter friend of mine in Las Vegas who I've known for a long time. And she had sent this message to me and said that she listened to the last episode and felt the love between us and that soulmate connection, and she was so happy for us. And
That's cool.
yeah,
It was nice.
It was really nice. Yeah.
She paid me a compliment, too, so that was sweet.
She did. Yeah.
But-
So thank you. That was Lisa. Thank you for that, Lisa.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Lisa.
that.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So then I also have a listener question.
All right, let's hear it.
This is from Rachel. The question is, what are the most common questions people want to know when you do a medium reading for them? This is a great question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Yes. Probably the number one most common thing that I get asked is if their loved ones are okay.
Yep. I do hear a lot of that from you.
Yes. And really that answer is universal because I've never had a spirit tell me that they're not okay.
Right.
So we believe that they are all okay.
Right.
So I'll answer that question for all of you right now. They are all okay.
And I love that. I kind of love that. You know, there's not even really, I think, an irony that is kind of the number one question for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Because we need to know.
Yes.
And once you believe that, it's really freeing.
It is.
It's not a license to go out and do whatever the heck you want. Actually, if anything, I think you start to realize you want to be better.
That's what it's done for me.
Yeah.
I think you too. It really has. It what makes you want to be a better person.
Yeah.
And because you see the bigger picture, like you said.
Good question.
Yeah.
Rachel?
I've got a couple other real quick ones that fall into there. I also get asked where they are, which is the other side, heaven. They're all together. So it's not like, is there a heaven and hell? We just believe they all go to one place. That's what I believe. But that is a top question I get asked. And then also, who are they with? People want to know what the loved ones that they're with. And a lot of times I am able to tell them that, which is one of my favorite things about this, because sometimes people will have this like huge family. And so they'll ask me the question, who are they with? And all of a sudden I'll start to see like pop, 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 pop.
They
all
all
these little,
come.
they all start popping up. I'm like, oh, I love this. Yeah, that's a good one. But that was a great question. And Yeah, those are the top 3 questions that I think I get asked.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Yes, thank you very much for that question.
Was that all the
That's
questions?
what I got.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
So we're done with the recap.
I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody
Yes, thank you.
for participating. I know you did a little poll on the Facebook page, which thank you everybody for.
Yes, thank you for everybody that
and we'll get into that
participated.
too.
We'll get into that, yeah.
But thanks for all that. It really does mean a lot.
It does.
So, well, here we come, episode 8, Synchronicity.
Yay, synchronicity. So talking about the poll that I did, the first question that I asked was, how many people are familiar with what synchronicity is? And 79% said that they are familiar with what it is.
Right.
So, but I'm going to read you the definitions, of course.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So there were a couple of different definitions that I took because I thought that they were all a little bit different, which is very interesting in itself. But this one is from Merriam-Webster's dictionary. The coincidental occurrence of events, and especially psychic events, that seem related but are not explained by conventional mechanisms of causality. Okay, so then I found this other one. Because, right, I didn't really like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that for me, it's not the definition.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know, but I'll read this one to you. The simultaneous occurrence of events which appear significantly related to no discernible causal connection. Which, that's better. Yeah,
that's better.
I think so.
You know, my first, memory of even the word synchronicity or something close to that was growing up in the 70s and watching television, whether it was, Charlie's Angels or Chips or Get Smart or something,
Yeah.
There were always synchronize your watches.
Right.
So I always just assumed it meant, something that had to do with time.
Right.
And it does in some, we'll get into that in this, but
not really, but a little
doesn't,
bit.
It does in some aspects, but it really doesn't.
Yeah, that's like a whole other
So
definition.
when I really understood or started understanding this a little while ago, it became sort of mind opening and blowing, like, oh my, it made a lot of sense to me at the same time. It's
something that I don't think that people that just go about their everyday life even notice it. And we'll get into that, but it is there. It's there for everybody. Yeah. Really it is. But this was probably my favorite definition. And it says, ultimately, synchronicity is when multiple signs focus our attention on our path. That is it. That's really,
a good one.
So breaking it down a little bit more as to what a synchronicity actually is. I guess the best way to put this would be that multiple things happening at around the same time that don't really necessarily need to fit together, but they're all kind of stand out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, for example, numbers are a big one. 11, 11, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, all of them.
Right.
Okay. But then sometimes you'll see 11, 11 and a song will come on the radio for a loved one.
Right.
That's a synchronicity.
Right.
And those things can keep going. You just add more things on top of them. I have days where that happens to me all day long.
Yeah.
It really does. And so I asked the listeners on our page how many of them saw these repeat numbers. And 95% of them said that they do. So I thought that's great.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that is impressive, isn't it?
I'm going to say that I think it was for me about 2016. I was still working in retail. So I had to deal with cash registers a lot and saw numbers a lot. And somebody said to me, one of the other employees, this girl, something about synchronicities. Like her hour was up on the reg, so she was signing off and she kind of chuckled and said something about synchronicity and walked away from the register. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's all, haven't you ever noticed that? And I'm like, what? And she's all like, for instance, I'll get a customer's total and the very next transaction, their change will be the same as that person's total.
Right.
And she'll go, I start seeing it all the time.
Yeah.
And then once I I guess I had to look for it at first for a second, but it wasn't just looking, it was opening to my mind to the fact that that could be a possible form of some sort of communication.
Right.
Or signs from somebody. Then I started seeing a lot. This is even before this happened for you or me,
Right.
you know, like the awakening,
Yeah.
or your gifts revealing themselves. This was way before. So
Yeah.
then once your thing happened, then it was
Right. You see it
floodgates
all
open.
the time now. Yeah. So people commented underneath that poll question, and I wanted to read this one. This is from Gabe. It says, I'm basically a walking 9. Everything about me equals 9. My social security number, my birth date, driver's license number, my first, middle, and last names, all reduced to 9. Things that happen in multiples of 9, I generally take as a good sign. This is absolutely a synchronicity.
Yeah.
Those things happen to us all the time.
Yeah.
I have 4 numbers. Okay, they're 11, 13, 22, 26. I see those numbers all day long, and not even necessarily like together, but it will be like 226,
Right.
or 113.
Right.
It's just like combinations of everything. It's the craziest thing once you start to notice that these things are around you.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
I for me, it started, like I said, with those numbers. Then those were just random, whatever, 1254. And then the next transaction was 1254. But once that happened for us, then it was like I was seeing mainly odd numbers, 7, 5, 3, 1.
Right.
And then I started seeing like our daughter's birthday a lot,
Right.
which was all odd numbers.
Right.
And then it started with the actual synchronicities of looking at 1111 or
Right.
111 or 222 or
Yeah.
333, 444. I mean, just happening to look up at a microwave or a phone while I'm doing something else every hour in the same day, every hour on those times.
Yeah. For me too, I will pretty much every day see 413, which is my mom's day of her passing, and 430.
Wow.
Almost every day, and I don't look for them. And sometimes my phone will feel like it vibrates, and I'll go to look at it, and it will be one of those times.
Wow.
You know, and then I'll get the like 1122 or 1126 or whatever. You know, a combination of all of them.
Right.
But it's just those things that I wonder, how do you do that? Like, I know it's beyond our comprehension, but
It really is.
How do they do these things?
I don't think they're sitting there dialing the clock
No.
back and
Well, no,
forth
of course not.
until you look at it. I think it's more your connectivity to them, and all of a sudden something just inspires you at the moment to like, oh, I need to check the time or whatever, or you're not even happening to look at the time, but you're looking at something else and happen to look past a clock or the time,
Right.
you know, and that doesn't even necessarily, you know, stop there, because then, like, say for instance, how many pictures have we sent each other where we're driving in our car or, you know, at a light or parked or something, and it's, you know, 73 degrees and it's 7:30 on the clock, and you're listening to 70s on 7.
Yes.
And you got 70,000 miles, and, you know, it just...
That happened the other day, and it was one of the examples that I used, actually. That was the perfect one. And it was, the crazy thing about it was my numbers. It was, I had 222 miles left of gas.
Yeah.
I had 108,333 miles. It just, all of it. It was channel 8. It was 1233. It was like, everything was just the same numbers.
That is so wild.
When that happens, it blows my mind. I'm like, there is no way that's just a coincidence.
Right.
There's no way.
And then when they're like super duper trying to get your attention,
oh yeah,
it'll kind of all happen when there's a song on that particularly might mean something to you. That's when you're like, okay, there's definitely something here. We've been doing some upgrade here at the Brown Sound Studio, and the other day I was transferring files, from one hard drive or bundles and things and whatever. But I kept looking at the clock, and I looked at it at 2:22. I looked at it at 3:33, 4:44, 5:55.
So weird.
All while I'm sitting here, got my head under this desk, cables and back and forth, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take that as I'm on the right track. And then I second-guessed myself and deleted what I did because I second-guessed myself.
Right.
And just had to redo it.
Right. Yeah. And that leads to a good thing is, why do we have these synchronicities? Why do they show us these? What's the importance behind them? And I'll give you a story, an example right now of something that's happening for us is that I'm looking at cars, and I hate this.
So much fun.
I hate it so much. I can't even tell you. But my dad worked in the automobile industry. He worked for Hertz Rent-A-Car, and the last job that I know that he had was Downey Ford. And so since this whole process has started, and the other day when I went to test drive some cars, every single thing I saw was Ford, and it was dad songs, and even a Ford that said our dog's name on the license plate. It was just Ford, 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 Ford. And so where I am in this right now is that I have contacted our friend that works for Ford. And because I think that that's where this is supposed to be leading me to go.
Right.
So I don't know yet where it's going, but that day it was just everything. It was the songs, the numbers, the things that I saw. And those are all pointing us in the direction of how we're supposed to go. And I'm just putting this puzzle together. It's been very, very frustrating for me. So these synchronicities, as much as they may seem like they're fun, they can be very confusing.
Right.
Because you're like, what are you trying to tell me? Just tell me. I'm a psychic.
Yeah.
Just tell me.
Ford? I don't want to buy a Ford. Those are effed over rebuilt Dodges.
No.
I'm just kidding, Ford.
Well, that was kind of what I asked earlier, but yeah, I never had one. But if that's what Dad wants me to buy, then okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know where it's going, but still, it's very frustrating. And especially as a psychic, it really is. It's like, can't you just tell me these things?
Right.
No, you got to figure them out yourself. Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
There are a lot of more convenient ways to buy cars now. I mean, I remember going with my dad as a kid, as a teenager when I first was looking at my first used car, and
Yeah.
he used to almost embarrass me. I felt bad. I felt bad for the salesman.
I hate the whole
He
process.
was like, let's go, Danny. We're out of here. And
Yeah.
it was like, man,
Oh, yeah.
you just ripped that
gets
guy
ugly.
a new one.
It gets ugly. So maybe this is just a way of helping the process be easier, because I really do hate it.
Yeah, it's not fun.
But something that I read that ties into this is, when you're following your intuition, only acting on what feels truly aligned in your business and in your life, you inevitably start receiving signs and nods from the universe confirming you are on the right track.
Yes, you do.
And that is exactly what synchronicities are. They are letting you know that you are on the right track.
Yes.
We had this discussion the other day, because when I was doing this research, we really don't, we've talked about it. We think we figured it out, why we have synchronicities, but it really plain black and white said here that synchronicities are there to show you that you are on the right path.
Yes.
And we have been having a rough couple of weeks with a lot of different things. And for both of us, I know we hadn't been seeing a lot of those synchronicities.
No.
And so we started kind of putting this together, that when you're in a bad mood or you're depressed or not connected, you don't see those synchronicities as much. And that's very frustrating, because those are the times where I feel like I need it the most.
Yeah, and you're like, where'd you go?
Totally. Did you leave
Where's
me?
everybody?
What? Yeah.
Right.
I always wonder that. Like, can you just, a song, a number,
No.
or this or that? Nothing. Crickets.
Right.
Great.
It's funny because all the things we talk about are all connected in this way, in this life,
Yeah.
our belief of that. And so, like, about the energy in the vibrations is that negative energy is going to bring
Negative energy.
right.
Yeah.
So when you're kind of in that rut or in that spot, you're closing your mind
Yes.
to it.
That's exactly
so
right.
then you're not seeing it. It's still there all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're there, but you're being stubborn, you know?
Right.
I'm being stubborn, or, you know, each individual is being stubborn. So I think when you come out of that, then all of a sudden you realize they're not abandoning.
Right.
They're still communicating. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't in the mood to hear it.
That's exactly right.
So I fight myself.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like, up until I read this, I really always thought that when I didn't see them, it was because my vibration wasn't high enough.
Right.
And that if I would raise my vibration, I would start to see those. But now it makes total sense that when you're not seeing those, it's because you're not on the right path, and they don't want to push you in that direction and keep showing you those synchronicities. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they just stop. They stop showing you. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just going to close your mind, why? They're just wasting their time.
Right.
So when you're ready, they'll be back.
Right.
So let me ask you a question, though.
Sure.
Why do you think that they use that?
Well, what else are they going to do?
Right.
If you think about it, for the average person that doesn't have skills, obviously even for me, like, I can't just tell you what's going to happen day to day in my life. I have no idea. So these synchronicity are a great way for them to show me, and because they don't just tell me that what's going to happen most of the time. Right. So I think that's, you know.
No, again, folks, when we say they, we're referring to the other side,
right.
Meaning your loved ones, your spirit guides, you know, your family that's guiding you.
Right.
And I think that the reason I asked you that question is because I sort of feel like that too. And maybe even a little bit more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Cosmological way. Uh-huh. But the universe, you know, we're pretty sure there's other dimensions.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe this is another dimension within our world.
Absolutely.
And so therefore they're here and they're there.
Right.
We have a difference in our makeups compared to both sides, meaning we're physical, mortal, they're not.
Right.
So they have much higher senses than we have. But I honestly feel like when you're dealing with two dimensions that can't just pick up a telephone and talk to one another, mm-hmm. How else would you try to communicate with somebody on this side if you were on that side? And it started to make absolute sense once, like I said, when I started seeing those numbers in retail, and then kept my mind a little more open, and then our thing. Right. And then it was like, I get it.
Yep.
That is because they're trying to tell me, okay, yeah, this is good.
Right.
You're headed in the right place.
Right.
And again, it's not always numbers. It's
songs are a big one for me.
Songs are a huge one.
Yeah.
And even just certain things that you see, like signs.
Oh, yes.
Or, you know, I don't mean signs in actual untangible. Signs. I mean a real sign.
Yes.
Things like that. So, and some people might sit back and go, "Oh, well, you can read into anything you want." This is not what we're talking about here.
It's not. No, it's not. And it's sometimes like for me, certain things like what you were just saying about things fitting together, I will see like my brother's name, Justin. There's Justin Street. This happened to me the other day. Justin Street, one of my brother's songs that reminds me of him came on the radio, and then his birth date.
Simultaneously.
Simultaneously.
So there's
you see those things, yeah. So you wonder, well, why am I seeing that? Well, for me, I feel like that's a sign that I need to talk to my brother. Mm-hmm. Why, I might not know until I call him, but I need to get in touch with him. And that's, usually what it is. So you kind of have to read, I don't want to say read into them, but you have to look at the deeper meaning. Sometimes they don't have deeper meanings, especially if you've just lost a loved one and they're just trying to get through to you to say, hi, I'm here. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. You'll just get those synchronicities that's all that they're saying to you.
Yeah. I think they know a lot of this world doesn't believe there's anything after, or they're scared whether they're going to be there with them. And I think most of the time it is to let you know, like we said at the beginning of this, one of the top questions is, are you okay?
Yeah.
And that is one of probably the main reasons that they're even trying to connect, is to say, don't worry, man.
Yeah.
Live this life as much as you can and love as much as you can. Treat others good.
Yes.
But we're okay, and you'll be okay too.
Absolutely.
Don't fear the end, because it's really, really not the end.
No.
But the songs is another big, big one. Mm-hmm. Would this be a good time to read the lyrics of?
Oh yeah, we were talking about this earlier about this topic, and I started thinking about the Sting song, which
Love
is
it.
Sting is, well, this is a Police song, but my mom's favorite band and artist, Sting and the Police. So I started thinking about the song Synchronicity, and actually you brought it up, didn't you?
Yeah.
That you wish that we could use it for the show. We can't use it because it's copywritten. So
Maybe one day.
Yeah, right. So, so then I looked up the lyrics to kind of see what exactly they said. And what I found interesting before I read a little bit of this is that when I first read the lyrics to this song, it was shortly after I learned that I was a medium. And I read these and I was like, what do these mean? This means this is dumb. You know,
right.
I don't like this song.
Right.
And then tonight when we started talking about it and I pulled it up, it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This makes so much sense. So let's see. I'll just read a little bit of it. But with one breath, with one flow, you will know synchronicity, a sleep trance, a dream dance, a shared romance, synchronicity, a connecting principle linked to the invisible, almost imperceptible. What is that word? I do this every time.
I don't know.
I don't know what this word is. Science insusceptible, logic so inflexible. Casualty connectable, nothing is invincible. If we share this nightmare, then we can dream. Spiritus mundi. If you act as you think, the missing link, synchronicity, a connecting principle, and then it repeats itself.
Right.
Yeah.
I you know what? It's funny because when I first heard that as a young teenager, or I don't even know how old I was, teens, early 20s, I was into way earlier Police, so I didn't like that song as much, that album.
It's an interesting song.
Even though it had like Every Breath You Take and all these huge hits.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate all those songs now as I've grown up and aged a little bit. But in particular, that song, I love the words of that song. It absolutely captures everything we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, like the line about a relationship and how that can be a synchronicity.
Absolutely, it can.
It's everywhere.
I have a good story about that. And this is actually something that I just figured out not long ago. And we were together when I figured it out because I remember telling you this. So one of my numbers I had mentioned is 22. Mm-hmm. And that was a number that was my ex-husband's number. And so when you're with somebody for a long time, it's like you kind of take on their stuff, you know, so it just becomes a big number in your life. And it became a number that I saw all the time. And then we started going through our divorce. And I knew where my mom was pushing me. I knew I was being pushed to go through with this divorce.
Right.
But I kept seeing 22 all the time. And it was so frustrating to me. I was like, but I know you're pushing me towards this divorce, but you're showing me a number that reminds me of him.
Right.
It made no sense. But there weren't other things that went with it. There weren't like our songs or anything like that. It was just that number. It drove me crazy. I knew I was on the right path to get the divorce, which I did, obviously.
Right.
But then it hit me that number, it's not representative of him. It's just representative of a time in my life.
Right.
And because it was a number that I used so much, they're not just going to stop using it because he's not in my life anymore.
Right.
So that is one of my numbers.
Yeah.
It is also 11 multiplied by 2.
Yeah, I started thinking about that too because I thought, well, you know what? We're both born in June. Mm-hmm. And we're both born, you're in 77, I'm 71.
Yeah.
Those numbers are both, the month is the same.
Right.
But those are both odd numbers. Mm-hmm. And we're a week apart.
1 week exactly
7
apart.
days apart.
Yep. It's
6 years, but 7 days.
Yeah.
6 months?
Yeah.
6 years apart?
Yes.
7 days apart.
And I will point this one out as well. We're married on the 11th.
Yep.
And I was married to my first husband on the 11th. exactly 6 months apart. 1/11, 7/11. Now, for some people, they may think that's an omen. That's horrible.
Right.
But the way I look at it is this is my life. Like, I can't go back and change my past. I got married on the 11th. I loved the 11. I divorced from him. Does that mean I can't love 11 anymore? No.
Our daughter was born on the 11th.
Yeah. So why is it a problem? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about all of these. It's like they all have a meaning and a purpose. And it also 13, if you take 13 and multiply it by 2, it equals 26. So both of my numbers, if you multiply them by 2, they equal the other numbers.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of people that are probably sitting here right now listening to this going, what are they talking about?
Another example was
Sorry.
in my previous marriage, my ex-wife lost her brother in a car accident, and she got some life insurance, her mother and her sister and her, from his death, and a little bit. And so she gave me some money for down payment on a car. And when I got the car, the license plate on it was, I had to ask her because I was like, what's his birth date? Because it said it was like 6 ATC, something blah, blah, blah. And he passed away on the 6th. So it was like 6 ATC, something else, and then 6 again at the end. So there's two sixes at the end, ATC. The ATC wasn't so relevant other than he had been in a motorcycle accident years before, got a settlement, started his own business.
Yeah.
A motorcycle shop.
Right.
Working on street bikes, ATCs, ATVs, whatever.
Right. So it was fitting.
And the 13th, I was like, I think it was February 13th or somewhere he was born. And it was just weird.
Yeah.
I blew my mind. And that was probably one of my first introductions without even really accepting it or knowing it. But I knew in my mind now, why did I ask her that? Because I was now questioning and opening my mind just a tad. Like I just cracked the window a little bit. Yep. Until now, but.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Both of our license plates, too, are very similar like that. That these things that make you just know that you're in the right place. My apartment that I had when Danny and I first started dating that he eventually moved into, that address was 1317, 13 being one of my numbers. This house address also has a 13 in it. Yep. It's another consistent in my life that most of the places I've lived do have a 13 in them somewhere. Yep. These are all signs that point you in the right direction. And coming back to that one story that I was talking about with the 22s, I remember one of the very frustrating parts about that was that when I got my apartment in Ventura and the divorce was just about final, my the mileage in my car turned 111,111 miles as I was pulling into my parking space at the new apartment.
Wow. But
it was 222.
And Halloween is your favorite holiday, and that's 13 backwards.
Yes, it is. And Disney is 1313. That looks like Mickey ears. So I could go on for days.
Yeah, they're all kind of hidden, and I think if you're paying attention, you're gonna see it.
They are absolutely
You're gonna feel it. You're gonna hear it. Whatever it is. But if we walk around blind in this world, like all we're here to do is eat, sleep, drink, work, and repeat, then you're never gonna see it.
No, you're not. This was kind of cool that I read this. It says, most of the time in a modern world, we are following our fate, being ping-ponged around by family, culture, materialism, and all sorts of outside influences. We are following distractions, expectations, and obligations rather than signs and synchronicities connected to our higher self. Wow. That is how most people live day to day, I believe.
Right.
I mean, I obviously am not in most people's heads, but if you ask the average person, do you go about your life living it, following these synchronicity signs? Most of them will probably go, what are you talking about?
Are you all
crazy? Right? Yeah. Yes, I follow my day by my synchronicity.
Honey, are you a psychic?
Oh, no.
Well, I agree. I think most people maybe walk around kind of oblivious to that thin veil that I talked about a couple episodes again, where it's almost like once you realize it's there, all these other things start happening. You know, like you're talking about before, the colors get brighter, and
oh yeah,
it's like I'm getting blinder by the day, but the colors are brighter.
Oh, I love the bright colors. I really do. It's amazing. And what's cool about it is that I can take a picture. Like we went hiking last weekend.
Yep.
And I take those pictures and I can put a filter on them and I can make people see the colors the way I see them.
Yeah, I feel like it's not, even with the iPhone, they take great pictures, but it's not like standing there. So I got to sit there and noodle and mess with the filters in order to really feel like, okay, now I feel like it's what
this is what I
looked
see.
like standing there.
Yeah, for sure. Food too lately for me. That's a whole other subject. But so I know that there are some people that are probably saying, I don't see these. I don't see them. So what can I do to help myself see these synchronicities? And one of the problems is that a lot of people will try and force them. And trust me, I'm guilty of this on days that I'm in a bad mood, that I'll be like, oh, is that a synchronicity?
Right.
This could be a mom song. She could be trying to say something. No, you're just reading into it because you want there to be these synchronicities and they're not really there.
Right.
So really it is about your vibration and your mood and all of that, just relaxing and going with this path. But something here it suggests, it says, an open and relaxed mind is critical for synchronicity. It is easy to force signs into connections which aren't relevant. We can see many potentials and possible paths ahead of us, yet we will walk only one physical path at a time. Deciding which signs are relevant to follow can be overwhelming in our mind if it is not clear.
Yeah, I agree.
So a clear mind.
Yeah, it's what it takes.
A number one, for sure. And then
I think another thing that you could do, honestly, is ask.
yes.
You know, vocalize it. Say it out loud.
Yes.
You don't have to say it out loud, but they're listening.
They are listening.
And if you're open to it, they want to hear that you're open to it.
Absolutely.
They don't want to guess that you're open to it. Because I don't think, honestly, even from the other side, that they're reading your mind.
No.
But they're very involved in your life. So ask.
Yes.
And you will probably start seeing.
Absolutely. And you can ask for specific signs too. Like I have a pattern now that I know that certain songs mean certain things and and all of that. So you can establish that with them for sure. But so some of the other tips, it says to practice noticing signs, ask a question about your life and go for a walk in nature. Repeat the question as you walk and see where your attention is drawn. What are the first 4 signs you notice, and what meaning can you associate with each sign?
Right.
If the answer isn't clear, ask the question in a new way and try again.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? And again, people might go, well, that's reading into something. Well, you're dealing with a dimension that can't physically speak to you.
You have to learn.
You have to. That's then drawing on your intuition.
Yep.
You're asking a question. It will be answered.
Yep.
But listen.
Yep.
If you hear 2 things, usually the first one is the correct one.
The quick one.
You start to interrupt it, if anything.
With logic, yeah.
With logic. So
absolutely.
I think that, that's a great example.
Yeah. But then it also says, consider the signs coming to you in your dreams.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to read into your dreams.
No.
The dreams have a lot of different meanings. But if you're having a visit from a family member or something, you will know. It won't be negative. It will be very positive. They will be bright. It will be full of love. And so those would be the things in the dreams that I would consider to be.
That's a tough one for me because I don't really remember a lot of my dreams. I'll have snapshots, like maybe first thing in the morning of something, and then it's boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
Or I might have a moment of like a deja vu, but I know it's not deja vu. It's more like, oh, I think I dreamt about that.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of gone. Dreams aren't.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a real nightmare or scary. It's like, I don't really remember them.
The worst for me is like falling asleep. Sometimes I have some of my best psychic visions as I'm falling asleep, and I can't go write them down, and then I'll forget most of the time. In the morning, I'm like, I know that I had some really good visions.
All right.
That's the frustrating thing about dreams. But if you can remember, write them down, because there are sometimes symbols in there guiding you along the way.
You need one of those little doctor recorders.
Right? Seriously.
To see if
Yeah.
record yourself.
Then it says, take action and let the universe know you are paying attention. Follow through with what feels right. As you take action, look for additional signs you are on the right track. A magical path of synchronicity. It really is. You have to acknowledge that. Like, if you're just like, we'll be in the car together and a mom song will come on, and I know that you know it's a mom song, but I'd say mom song.
Right.
Because to me, it is acknowledging that I know that that's them, and that I associate it with them.
Right.
And sometimes it's not even to, like, at the same time. Today I had a dad song, a mom song, a grandma song, all in a row. Threes, that's another good synchronicity. Really, things always happen in threes.
Yep.
They say that's...
The 369 are the magic numbers to the universe.
Yep.
They unlock a lot of mysteries and
exactly
stuff like that. I think that there's a word in that last thing that you just read was magic.
Yes.
And I'm talking about, this is real magic, okay?
It is.
It's not a guy pulling a bunny out of a top hat that's sitting on top of a table that has a hole in the bottom of it where he pulls it out from the bottom of the table, or whatever the stunt is or the trick. This is real magic.
Real life magic.
Real. And sometimes you're like, yeah, what? And then I go, how could I not see this for so long?
How could I deny this?
Right. How could I sat and sweated and worried and probably took some years off my life, you know, from it. But how could I have not seen it? And you know what? It's true. As you get older, you get a little wiser, and sometimes you're willing to take some chances on different things to see what the result is. And I'm glad I took a chance on this because it's opened my mind completely.
It really, it can change your life entirely. I mean, just these synchronicities, they do guide me through my day. And it doesn't mean that I listen all the time. Sometimes I'm stubborn and I'll just do what I want, and I'll learn. Yeah, I'll learn the hard way for that. But if you pay attention and you do listen, they will guide you. This thing with my car, I have no idea where it's going, but I'm following these synchronicities and signs and letting them take me where they're supposed to. Right. So this is a good story to follow along with our podcast, because that's another one of those kinds of stories.
Yeah, for sure.
And another one that it said, and I really like this one, is journal about the signs you notice in your life. Keep track of when you see signs, how they feel, and what meaning you derive from them. Over time, you may see patterns in the signs and synchronicities that show up.
Yeah.
All the time. It happens to me. It's a form of communication with the other side, but it's also a form of helping you along in your everyday life with your intuition. Yeah,
the nature is the big one that really, I think they honor that. If they know that you're coming from a pure place to come see them or be with them and be open to that, just like someone walking into a church and saying, I hope to be filled by the Holy Spirit today, or someone going into a 12-step meeting and saying, I'm really hoping to hear the message that I need to hear today, to help me get through the day without, anything. Going to a concert, I hope to hear that song that I love so much. These certain types of things, but especially the nature, I feel like when I do that, those things almost immediately after that experience or event of going to the nature are very clear. They're very clear, very strong. They're like almost saying you should do this every day. And I know I should, and I don't do it every day. It's really hard to do that. Right. I mean, life just doesn't always allow it. Yeah. Because I don't want to just go to a park. I mean, we went to, where did we go? Which one? This last time? Oh, to the Chumash Museum? In Oakbrook, yeah. Oakbrook. It was a burn area from the Woolsey fire. Yeah, it was. But it's already like totally growing back, and it was just so many oak trees, and I could feel amazing. The energy. This was like twice as long as the Sherwood Forest in Corriganville. Not as big as that area, but this area of oak trees just kept going.
Kept going, yeah.
And the rocks were, we
And
ran into like poppies at colors I hadn't seen before.
Oh, yeah.
Pink and red. And was there another color?
There was a blue, wasn't
Maybe
there?
there was blue.
Something, but it was gorgeous, and there was no freeway, there was no traffic. Like towards the beginning of the trail, there were some houses, but towards the back of it, it was just like total, complete peace.
Oh, it was
and
beautiful.
It is so eye-opening, and afterwards, it's like everything just flows so much easier.
Yeah. And it's cool even to do alone, but it's really neat when you're with somebody and on the same page as them.
Yeah.
And you have that, like you can walk and be silent and listen to the birds, or you can walk and talk about something. I mean, we kind of do both.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It adds to the energy.
Yeah.
It's one extra being, there that's raising the vibrations even more,
Yep. And it clears your mind.
And sometimes it is important to do things like that alone, but when we do that together,
I think together it's a great activity.
Right. It's good for your marriage, and just
absolutely.
it all is.
Yep,
it's good for everything, but
it is. I agree completely. I want to point out that one of the questions that I asked was how many people feel that they follow the signs that are shown to them through synchronicities, and 70% of people said that they try to follow those signs.
That's good.
That's good. Yep, absolutely.
I really like the higher percentages in these polls.
Me
because
too.
You feel like, wow, maybe a lot more people are open to this or believe kind of in this than I thought.
Which is great. I love to talk to like-minded people and even unlike-minded people because, varying opinions are important.
Absolutely.
The other question that I asked was, true or false, most or all of the strange things that happen to us are coincidence. And 88% of people said that was false. And actually, our friend Nisha said there's no such thing as coincidence.
I don't believe it.
I don't either. There's no such thing.
I used to throw that term around very often, and now I actually make it a point to say there is no coincidence.
There isn't. And it can go as very, very deep. First, let me read you what the definition of coincidence is, because it's really interesting how it's like the same as the definition of synchronicity,
right,
but different. So, a remarkable occurrence of events or circumstances without apparent connection. So basically, that's like, the skeptic's side of synchronicity. It's just a coincidence.
What is apparent connection? What is apparent?
Right? How is it?
It doesn't appear?
Right.
Because you can't see it?
Why is it apparent?
Well, everything has to be tangible.
Yeah.
And that's what's wrong with... You're never, ever going to see it if everything has to be tangible.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because some of these things, even though you might see pattern in numbers, it's not tangible.
Right.
In a sense of, I could touch the clock, but there's a deeper meaning.
If it's apparent, then there has to be a deeper meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Velociraptor on this one for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the stories that I was thinking about, it actually happened last night, was that, so our daughter is actually my stepdaughter, and we have a lot of the same things.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like it's not a coincidence that she's going through a lot of the same things that I've gone through. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of the same health issues. Those are not coincidences. Those are things that I feel were given to me to be able to help her in her life more. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
So where those may not seem like a form of synchronicity, I really think they are. I think they are. They're all signs. They're all there, and it just shows you how there's just no coincidence. There really isn't.
There's really not. And
no.
Again, I could go on that. That maybe should have been a whole episode in itself.
Coincidence. But, I know.
It's just, even in the music, and
I think people want to look at it like say, oh, that's just a coincidence. Because if they think that it's something deeper than that, then again, it means that they have to like explore their own thoughts and meanings that,
right.
If there's really something that is showing me those numbers and playing those songs and all of these things, then whoa, there's more than, it's more than just lights out.
Yeah.
It has to be. And I think that's what challenges people to think this way.
Yeah, I mean, even with like Gypsy Brown, I there's a ton of connections and coincidences.
Oh my gosh,
or not coincidences.
They're not.
How we've all, some of us have played in the same bands, but at different times. Some of us have. What was the other one? Oh, the newest member, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 Brians, both tile setters.
Yeah.
Both sober.
Yeah.
Both drive white Ford trucks.
It's so weird.
And it was just like, this has to be like right.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really weird.
It really is a way to show you that it is the right thing in your life.
Yeah.
You know, it can go very deep. It's those numbers that you were talking about. And again, going back to like my previous marriage, those things at that time, that was where I was supposed to be. So those signs at that time were exactly right, because like, I don't remember exactly now, it's been so long, but like my birthday was also his uncle's birthday, and my grandma's birthday was his aunt's birthday. They all coincided, and it was one of those things that made us go, whoa.
Yeah, your head explodes on some of them.
Yeah. And
when you start to really look at it.
Yeah. And they change, and you evolve, and the synchronicities and the signs evolve, and they push you along. And it doesn't mean that those things that you see the signs for now, like 13, for me, a lot of people are like, how can you even like 13? It's the worst number. Your mom died on the 13th. Right. Your dad was born on the 13th. It is a huge number in my life. It's a part of my synchronicities. And I look at it as love. It's not a negative, and all of these things that have happened in our lives are who we are. Right. So it's not, you shouldn't look negatively at those types of things.
No,
you know?
I think what they're trying to get us to do is to use our free will to follow these signs to make our life easier.
It really does too. It does make life easier. It helps make decisions easier. And when you're not in the mood for it and it doesn't happen, you miss it.
Yeah,
I do. It's like, it's frustrating. I've
missed the mark a few times in my life, and I've told myself this time, the signs are there. Yeah, can't ignore them, and I'm not giving up until I hit that mark.
Absolutely. And that's really hard to do, just having that courage to follow the signs.
Very hard.
You know, like this, I printed this out. It says, the signs that show up in life can lead us down different paths. A sign may be a person who resembles a person from our past, an animal that shows itself to us during a walk, or a quote that you can hear over and over in a day. Synchronicity is when we have more than one sign show up with the same meaning. And it just goes on about how to look for these signs and how to follow these signs. And that really is, you know, what synchronicity is about. This quote says, different signs over time tell us different things.
Yep.
That's exactly it.
An open mind sees signs.
That is a good one, too. Yeah. That is a Danny Jones you can put.
There you go. Yeah. I just copywritten that, folks. So
it's copywritten.
Can't use it. Sorry.
Don't use it. Don't use it.
Yeah, an open mind will see the signs.
Yep.
So try it. Yep. Give it a shot. What do you have to lose? I mean, if anything, they're not. They're not going to send you signs, which I doubt, but they will. Oh yeah, everybody gets those signs. You just, like we said, you have to look for them, and learn to train your mind to look, but not look too deeply. Right. Let them come to you, but you have to raise your vibration and put all of that out there and just go with it. Yep. And I promise you, if you go with it, it'll change your life. It has for us. For sure. It really has. And being able to say that to people and really believe it feels so awesome. It does. Like to just don't worry, Yeah. The signs are there. The signs are there. And it's going to be all right. And I think people do sometimes look at us like we're a little bit crazy for that, but that's all right. I think maybe if nothing else, we're almost like the guinea pigs for a lot of people, because here we are following those signs and synchronicities full-heartedly. Yeah. And people will be able to see where they take us. And I don't think that it's going to be wah, wah, wah. Yep.
I'm pretty sure these signs are leading us somewhere great.
I lived the first 47 years or 46 years of my life, by not looking at them. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I even saw them, but I didn't follow them. And it didn't work for me.
Right.
And for the first time, I've started, and life has changed dramatically.
Yep. And I will say that since I came out of the mom death coma, I have followed them.
Yeah.
And my life has completely changed for the better. I used to sit at home and do nothing and be sad and had no life. I didn't travel. I wasn't happy. And I followed those signs. I followed those synchronicities. And so far, everything that I've seeked out, everything that I have wanted has been returned to me because I have listened. Everything.
Yeah. I'm reminded every day, whether I want to look at it and choose to wake up and be grateful for it. I'm reminded every single day.
Yeah, I think we all are. And that is another thing is the gratitude. Yeah. Wake up in the morning, start that day and say, I'm going to start a great day and I'm going to listen to these synchronicities. And I'm telling you, when I do that, like I get in the car and there's something already because I go straight to work in the morning.
Right.
There's a song, there's a number, there's both, there's something saying, we're here.
Yep.
Let's start this day. Let's do it right.
It's a good feeling.
It is.
So you suddenly don't feel alone, even when you are.
Yeah. This is very true, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know that they're there helping you.
Totally.
And your own intuition as well.
Well, here we are.
We did it again.
Again. It's amazing.
Yep.
How do we do it? How can we talk?
I don't know. I can go.
Well, do you want to plug your page or anything else?
Let's do it.
You got that thing coming up pretty soon?
I do, actually. That's a great one. June 23rd, I will be doing the Health and Wellness Expo at the Hyatt Westlake Village. That's here in Southern California. I will be there from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. doing readings. They are 15 minutes, $30. You can send me a message and book that in advance, or you can just come in and get in line or whatever. I doubt I'll have a line like down the hall or something, so I'm sure I'll be able to fit everybody in.
You never know.
You never know. I hope I do, but hey.
You should check it out. It's cool if you're in the area.
Yeah.
Westlake, Thousand Oaks, Simi, Moore Park, whatever.
Yeah, Southern California.
It's cool.
And there's a lot of booths and other, they're doing yoga and breakfast in the morning at 9 a.m. and that sounds like fun. I may even do that before I do readings. But there's also seminars and before. Absolutely. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's seminars and look it up on Facebook. You can find it. It's the Health and Healing Expo.
Cool.
Yeah. So then we have our pages, which I had told everybody last week, but just to reiterate, we did change a little bit. So not to confuse. I know I wanted to make it just easy, but it'll get easy. So for Facebook and Instagram, we are at Spiritual Joneses. And for Twitter, because they have a character issue, it is it could mean several things.
I know.
Twitter's not my favorite, but it's okay. That one is at Spiritual Jones. Spiritual Jones. And then our email is spiritualjoneses@gmail.com. My website is SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. You can find our podcast there. You can find ways to make reservations with me and all that. Learn more information about my business. And also on Facebook at Beyond the Bridge 11.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a lot.
And if you like art and you like music, you can check out my pages on Facebook at D Jones Art Collection, and then Instagram #D Jones Art Collection, and you can see paintings that I do, mainly of musicians at this point, and you never know what will come next.
Absolutely.
So doing that still, and still working on a website. If you're interested in music itself, you could check out Gypsy Brown's page, also on Facebook and Instagram, and gypsybrown.com. Still plugging away. Don't have any music last week and this week. Sorry, guys. We're in the process, like I said, of doing some upgrades here. So we're transferring the library, the music library, and all that stuff. So we'll have that up probably next week.
Yes, and that would be great because you know why?
Why?
Next week, the episode is music.
Oh my God. Talk about
Oh my God.
coincidence.
And you know what else?
What?
It's episode 9.
Oh my God.
Which is a great number.
Good number.
And music is one of my favorite things.
Right.
And I know one of your most favorite things.
Absolutely.
And it's got a very spiritual, divine connection.
Right.
So I'm
Maybe
very
we
excited.
could find somebody to come in and join us. Maybe I have somebody in mind.
Do you?
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe we could get
We'd love to do
coax
that.
someone in to just come in and talk to us, especially because that's kind of a light topic, but I definitely think everybody gets meaning from music and songs. So
I think so too.
whether it's a spiritual thing or not, I think music speaks to all of us.
It's like a universal language.
Oh yeah.
Like love.
Sure. And you know, it definitely is. I mean, it definitely is the universal language.
Yep. I think so.
I won't even elaborate further because that was a great one.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate everybody's time
Yes,
and
we
tuning in this
do.
week. Thank you so much. We look forward to next week,
Yes, we do.
and we hope you guys have a good one. Have a great week. Take it easy, and
Peace and love.